Hello, race fans. I'm your host, Bobby. Welcome to episode 9 of the Area 51 Racing Podcast. Tonight's guests are Willie Mullins and his wife, Dina Mullins, owner of Mullins Racing and Bugsy's Repair Shop. How you guys doing today?
We're doing great. How are you doing?
Doing good.
I enjoy. I appreciate being on the show tonight.
I appreciate you coming on. Can you guys tell us about yourselves and your business with Bugsy's Auto Repair and also your photography?
Sure. I'll start first. I'm Willie Mullins, like I just said. I own ARCA Team. We've been doing this, I think, 15 years now, almost 20 years running some sort of a stock car. This is our 9th or 10th Daytona we're getting ready for. So we're really excited for that. I think this year we're going to have hopefully the best luck we've ever had. You know, we're one spot short of where we ever have been at Daytona. We finished second in 2018. So we're hoping to go there and try to get the big W. We got Kevin Reed on the box and Daryl Fareed, car chief, and Richie helping us and all the normal guys. So we can't wait to go back and try to have that one spot a little bit better. Right, dear?
Yes. So I guess I'll go over maybe more background.
Yeah.
So
she's detail oriented. I'm just like whatever's.
We are Willie Mullins. We are the owners of Mullins Racing, the ARCA Menard Series. Willie's first race with ARCA was 2008 at the road course in New Jersey. Our first Daytona was 2015, and that was, I would say, the rebirth of Mullins Racing. We are a small family-run team out of Fredericksburg, Virginia. We own a business. That's how we self-fund. We have a lot of great friends that help us, and over the years we have built ourselves from kind of the small backyard team into, I would think, a force to be reckoned with whenever we enter a race. The super speedway, I think you always have to count us in for possibly winning. At the short tracks, we're cracking into the top 5. So we are a husband-wife team. We own Bugsy's Auto Repair here in Fredericksburg. Our primary business is working on fleets. We do garbage trucks, box trucks, we do repairs, we do body, we do mechanical, we do paint and lettering. So that is what funds our racing. We also are extremely involved in the local racing community here. So Dominion Raceway will be our home track in Thornburg, Virginia. Willie races there a little bit. I worked for Dominion for years. I'm still an associate at Dominion Raceway. I did their PR, their photography, their videos for quite a few years. I left them in the 2022 season. Last year I joined Sellers Racing and Peyton Sellers. If anyone is familiar with East Coast late models, Peyton Sellers is kind of one of the greats. So we are super involved locally. Davey Callahan is a good friend of ours. Willie spots for him. So we just spend a lot of time at the racetrack, whether it be ARCA or the local levels. And we're a team that is a fan of racing, and we just love all forms of racing.
Awesome. So how did you get involved in racing, both of you? I mean, was it something that you always did when you were younger, or?
Well, for me, I was born into it, but I was born into drag racing. My uncle won Indianapolis in the alcohol funny car back in the day. You know, my dad ran super stock and did all that. But even before then, my grandfather used to take my father to Old Dominion Speedway, and that's where they used to have NASCAR. NASCAR would come in the 50s and 60s, and my dad would go out there and watch with my granddad. And this is when they had Lee Petty and the convertible series going around. So this was back in the day, you know, and they were traveling just like a little show. Every weekend they'd be at a different track, and that's how it started in our family. And then I went into drag racing and kind of got bored with drag racing, and then decided in 2005 to get myself a stock car and go in SCCA road course racing. And that's how I kind of started, and then it exploded from there and took many years to build. And then, you know, me and her met, and the team got bigger and started to become a force to be reckoned with.
My background in racing is a little bit different. I'm from Minnesota. My grandfather owned a dirt track in southern Minnesota, Lansing Speedway, for a few years. My dad raced dirt tracks in northern Iowa, Mason City, in southern Minnesota, Casson, some of those tracks. My dad got out of racing before my brother and I were born, but I was born into a racing family that loved it. My family moved from southern Minnesota to Brainerd, Minnesota, and Brainerd International Raceway was literally our backyard, the drag strip and road course. My first job was picking garbage after the nationals when the NHRA would come through. So I also kind of grew up a little bit more with the drag racing side because of the racetrack, but there was a local dirt track, North Central Speedway. We went every weekend. My family, has always been very into racing. Willie and I met 15 years ago. I moved from Minnesota to Virginia. And it just kind of, he was kicker on SCCA and doing that. We had a good time doing that. And that's all we could afford back then. I also will tell anyone getting into racing through SCCA road racing is phenomenal. You do schools with them to get up to speed. I think I wish Circle Track had kind of the same school that they make people go through. And just over time, we did a couple of the road courses and struggled. We definitely thought we knew what we were doing. We did not. In 2013, a guy named Zach Rattleston had a super speedway car that they did not strap down on the trailer, on an open trailer, and went down to the woods. So it was for sale, very, very cheap. And we were too stupid to know any better. So we went, you know what we should do? We should buy a super speedway car. Willie's never turned left in his entire life. He's only road race. But we thought, you know what? And that was back in the day when ARCA had 60 people showing up for 40 spots. So we bought a super speedway car, brought it home. His dad fixed the sides. Again, we had no idea what we were doing. Now looking back, he had to have added 40 pounds of mud into that car to get it right. So we had to have been as heavy. Went out, the first year we had a driver in JJ Pack. That was the first year of the Ilmore. Yeah. We had a built motor, did not go well. We got it in a provisional and we started on Fire on national TV. That was our first Daytona. And then in 2016, Willie decided, he was going to run it himself. We bought the Ilmore. We scrounged all of our pennies up. I was trying to pawn jewelry to get the last $1,000. We were that tight on getting this motor. Got that motor, went down, qualified decent, did all right. And then in the race, Frank Kimmel was with the 46 that year. It was a one-off. He wasn't very good. We were struggling. So Frank came up, asked Willie to drop to the back with him. And those two, his first super speedway race, he got to be locked bumpers with Frank Kimmel the entire race. Frank ended up finishing 4th or 5th.
Yeah, and I finished 8th my first year.
So it just it went from there. We bought, is it that year? We bought a short track car that was a hunk of shit. Went to Nashville Fairgrounds. Got one set of tires. He was loose as could be, this old steel body car. Finished 3 laps down, but we were like, you know what? And we just kept, every year we go back to Daytona and try a little bit harder and do what we could. We had Andy Belmont for years as a crew chief helping us get up to speed. And then it all kind of came to in 2018. Ended up dropping to the back, and the race did not probably play out in our favor to begin with, because with 1 to go, he was 17th. But if anyone remembers the 2018 ARCA race, it is the last time we went unlimited green, white checkers. And we finished 2nd because I don't know how many times we ran that last lap. 4? I think we ran that last lap 4 times. It was a 6-hour race.
Yeah, that race was 5-6 hours.
In the dark. That was the one where, who's the 20? Brett Holmes was up on his side and Zane Smith T-boned him, and there was a lot of big wrecks. So, and then since then we've added on more short track cars. Our short track programs really come along, added on, the ability to have a teammate with us at the super speedways. So it's, we worked really hard to grow the team over the years. We're still part-time, but like I said, I feel like when we show up to a racetrack, we are taken seriously like the full-time teams, like that, we're going to put something good out on that racetrack.
So Rob was supposed to be here. He's having technical issues, so he's not here. So his one question that he had was the duck decal or the duck sign.
Yeah.
He wanted to know what the significance of this was.
So that started out, many years ago, like we were talking a little earlier. We have a pond at Bugsy's at our race shop. or I mean at our body shop, and out there are some ducks. So she always has had ducks, and we hatch them and then have them every spring. And we started putting little duck decals on the cars here and there, and then it kind of grew, and we bought duck decals, and we bought ducks to give away, little rubber ducks, and it's kind of just grown. And it's been one of those things that she enjoys doing, so we do it together and have a good time, and that's where the pit size came from.
So where it really kind of comes from. So I incubated duck. We bought ducks. We had ducklings, so I had them all over my Facebook, and it got to be where Willie was. If Willie was in talking to anyone like Bill Venturini, the first thing Bill would ask him were, how are the ducks? He'd be on interviews and people would ask, how are the ducks? So we just got to be known as the duck team. So we just kind of rolled with it. 1 year at the test, instead of a number on the roof, we had the rubber ducky. We now have the lighted duck sign. We're a team that has ducks. So we
just have fun. And the good thing too is when we go do meet and greets and things like that, it's great for the kids. They really interact and love the duck themed thing. And if the little girls or little boys aren't into race cars, they love ducks, so it gives them a reason to come out with the family to see us when we're doing meet and greets. And it's been a great addition to our, racing, and have something else to talk about like today.
Well, I think, as you move up levels in NASCAR, corporate brands have a certain image that they want. I feel like ARCA is still a little bit of the Wild West where we can do whatever we want. I mean, I'm sure some people would think it's cringy. I've always said that kitschy done well is awesome. Kitschy done poorly is cringy, but I feel like we try to lean into it well so that it's fun and not like, oh my gosh, they have a rubber duck on their car somewhere. So we've kind of just, we've had a really good time with it. We had rubber ducks we gave away 1 year. We've had a duck sign. I had a duck named Harvey that was hand raised in our house, and he was Speed Sports Pet of the Month one month in the Speed Sport print edition. So, I mean, it's just, like I said, I feel like upper levels of NASCAR sometimes lose their humanity and fun. And I think in ARCA, we can still be a little goofy, and there's nobody telling us that we can't. Well, usually.
Yeah.
Sometimes we get told we can't, but
So you go from having ducks to having green socks on the back of the cars for Keene Parts.
So that is Pete and Pod. And I'm hoping I'm retelling this story correctly. At some point, Teresa Keene, Teresa and Tom Keene they're a gift to the racing community. CorvetteParts.net sponsors so many different teams, so many different levels. They're involved at the local level, late model racing, all the way up in the Cup. So we are so excited to be part of their family. That first and foremost, they're phenomenal. But she had fuzzy green socks in one of the races, and the race went well, so it just started to become a thing. And her socks are named Pete and Pod. So we make sure that we have Pete and Pod printed and stick it on the race car whenever they are a partner with us. So, and they will be back for Daytona 2024. We're very excited to have them back in the car.
Well, since we're talking about 2024, what are your guys' plans for the season?
Well, as of right now, we're going to Daytona. That's all I can tell you. There's so many things going on this year. It's been a bad year for us personally, but we're going to focus on going to Daytona, have a good time, and then I think we're going to go to Elko. That's going to be a definite. Other than that, it's all up in the air this year. We got a lot of things going on. We're focused on our business 110%. So we're doing that. We're trying to make sure that everybody's healthy, and then we're going to move forward. And we can't wait to at least be at Daytona to see our friends and go race.
And we will be running on the hood of the car. We will be running some cancer ribbons. We've had some diagnosis in my family recently that has definitely changed what our racing outlook looks like this year. We're gonna get through it all. Elko is extremely important to us. Would be, I guess, my home track for asphalt. So my hometown is 2.5 hours north. But it is the only asphalt track in the state of Minnesota. We're dirt country up there. So it's like that's your track. We always love to do that race. Crowing Recycling and CW Metals, who are my family's companies, are always on the car. CW Metals has actually from the tower, you can see one of the scrap yards, so they're that close to them. It's always great to get the family out there and get all the employees out there. Elko Speedway is a very special short track.
Yeah.
They do a phenomenal job. If anyone is in the Midwest and have never been to Elko, I cannot suggest it enough. It is absolutely a track that understands that racing is the entertainment business. They've got a bar underneath. Just their announcers. Jason is amazing. It's an amazing facility. So we love going there. This last year we did a throwback car to my dad's dirt car when we went. So it's always an extremely special track for us. And, we'll kind of see what the year brings with some health issues and race when we can. And if not, we'll still be involved in a lot of ways. That is our throwback car from last year. The pictures above Dutch is my father. He passed away on Friday, so this car was extremely special to us.
I'm sorry for your loss.
Yep.
Yeah.
But it's been a great time when we go out there. Elko and Dominion Raceway, our home track, rival each other on how they put together a great short track for fans. The good thing about both tracks is they're very user friendly. The fans have such a great experience. Everything's clean at both tracks, and that's why we enjoy going to Elko and coming back home to Dominion, because both tracks are one of the best, or if not the best tracks in the United States on how they put together such a great program weekly. We also have a driver this year, Colin Lozo, that we're going to be running the weekly series with us in late models at Dominion Raceway. That's going to be another thing we're guaranteed to be doing this year. I think there's 11 weekends we'll be at Dominion doing that, me and Dinah, and she'll be running around with her camera, keeping up with the Peyton Sellers crew, and I think Landon Pendleton and all them. So we're really busy, even though we say we're not going to be racing much, right? So we're going to be racing a couple ARCA races. Hopefully, I'd love to run 5 again this year, but we'll see. Might be 1 or 2. And then we'll be at Dominion Raceway and help support Davey and run Colin and try to have a good time.
Would you say your best moment in racing is your second place finish, or do you have a best moment?
We ran 5th 2 years ago at Pensacola, and we came from 2 laps down. So that was a big feather in my cap. To go to Pensacola and run against the Venturinis and running against Jake Finch, all the Gilliland cars, and come back from 2 laps down to finish 5th. That's my best short track memory. And then Daytona, yeah, absolutely. 2nd place, was the highlight of my career.
The issue, though, is that now anything less than a win feels like, I think the difference is when we go to a short track, we're not expected to win, maybe. So it's just run as well as you can. And at Daytona, anything less than a win is.
Because I see, you watch these cup races and you see when Bubba gets out of a car and he's upset at the top 5, right? But I get it. You go to Daytona, you run 5th. It's like, so what? I've done it before. That's nothing major. Where somebody that's struggling, a top 5 would be a win for them. We've done it. We've been there. We finished top 10 4 or 5 times and, had DNFs. So I get it. And I'm so hungry to go get that last spot to go to win at Daytona. I want to be in victory lane like Greg was last year. I can't wait to try it again this year. And we have personnel changes, and we've done what we needed to do to try to get that last spot. And I don't think we're going to be doing it too many more years going to Daytona. So you never know. This might be the last shot, but we'll see.
You guys are a small, independently owned team. What are the challenges of doing this?
Just having time, right? I've been working my guts out. We've gotten a new contract at work with Ryder Trucks, and everybody knows how big Ryder Trucks are as a fleet across the United States, one of the largest ones in the United States. And it has turned our business 180 degrees from where we were having a couple jobs a week come into 5 to 10 jobs now a week, and we have to turn those jobs. So, and it's always been time, right? So, I try to get off work we start at 6. I try to get off work by 6 to get over to work on the car 3 or 4 hours a night, and to make sure we get it all done and make sure it's 110%. And the good thing is I have a friend and a neighbor, Daryl Faree. He makes sure he gives up his weekends to help me so we can go fast and try to race and be competitive. And that's the only way I'm able to put these cars together is with his help, and then lettering and design with Dinah and all the media stuff she does for me. It puts our team out there where a lot of these other teams don't get this support, because we do have 2 or 3 good partners and friends that make this a priority in their life.
And we got extremely lucky when Kevin Reed parted ways with the Venturinis. He owns a golf cart company in Charlotte. Yep. So if anyone's looking for a golf cart, Kevin Reed's your man.
KRM, look him up on the internet. That's one of our sponsors too, because he helps with his time. He doesn't give us any money, but he donates his time to help us and make this car fast, and we can't wait to go back.
And I think for new teams, especially this year, we're going to see 50 drivers at Daytona. Some of these people have never really raced with our series. When you're a small team, doing things the right way is super important in the garage, and people notice. Over the years, there's people that ask how we get so much help. Was it last year or the year before? Last year you got plowed into, or year before, one of the years you got plowed. We get screwed in group qualifying every year. So you got plowed into, and the first 2 teams at the back of our trailer to ask us what we needed for help was Venturini and Gibbs Racing. So when you're in the infield and you do things right and you do right by people and you make sure, even if your car isn't fast, that it looks good, and you do all the things, it matters. So when Kevin left Venturini, he was auto racing, and we were building the new Mustang, and asked his advice on something, and next thing you know, he's at the body hanger and he's like, I'll be at the track with you guys. So essentially, arguably the greatest crew chief in ARCA history, everybody was clamoring to get him, and he adopted us. And it's been awesome. He's been with us at the track a couple times now. He's had all the years of full-time points racing, and he still loves to be at the racetrack. And I'm glad that we're the kind of team that he enjoys it. He enjoys coming out before the test. Him and his wife Jennifer were out and stayed in Fredericksburg for a weekend to get the cars ready. And I think it brings him back to his roots a little bit, where the driver is the person next to him building these cars. There's go through a lot of years where that driver, you're going to see him at the track, and that's going to be it. So, I think we're a throwback to the old style team. I mean, Willie builds the cars. He drives our hauler. He does all of our fabrication. Kevin comes up for final setup. We use Timmy or at PVW for our body hanging. But other than that, everything's in-house. We do a lot of it ourselves. So,
I take it to the chassis dyno. I, do the body and paint work. I painted, we built that car last year in a week. And it was one of the worst weeks of my life, because I went down there and only tested, I think, 3 laps because I was so tired. I put other people in the car last year. And this year I finally got to enjoy going to the test and turning laps and having some fun and being a race car driver, not just being a crew guy working on these things. So this year, that's what we're going. We're, with the couple things that have happened this year, we're only going down with 1 car. We'll have a great backup car up in the trailer if we need it. So if we use it up in qualifying, we'll use it up, and we're going to pull out the backup. So we're there to put on a show, like I said, in 2018.
Now, you guys don't get any backing from Ford.
No.
They're
not.
They learned our name last year, but it wasn't for the reasons of speed. But we definitely got in a little bit of trouble, and
we actually run all 3 manufacturers because we get no support. We have mostly Fords, but we do have a Chevy and a Toyota in our mix too. So, but Ford last year, Brayton Laster was with us the season before, and at Talladega it got into a wreck and it knocked our body off. So we decided to update to the Mustang body, got it rehung, got everything done, and we got kicking around that the car kind of looked like a Tesla, all white. And so we decided it would be really funny to brand it as the Mach-E instead of the Mustang. So we did. We branded the whole car. We put the surround in the front to make it look like the electric Mustang. We put Mach-E on the sides. And then I also had what I think got us in most trouble, underneath the hood, full size, did say built Ford Tough with another manufacturer's stuff. We had Landon Huffman with us at the test last year. And if anyone is watching this, everybody knows Landon Huffman. So Landon, of course, it goes what I call racetrack viral, right? It gets like 20,000 views on Twitter. And some phone calls are made. I tell whoever that is in touch with me that we are not a factory team and I didn't care. Some powers that be got called in big NASCAR. And both of us got called to the hauler to a 6-page email. And I no longer had the choice about how the car hit track. I had to unletter it. So all I can say is the head of Ford Performance knows my name. Probably not a fan, because I definitely didn't make it easy for him to unleather that car. But at the end of the day, ARCA did go to bat for us a little bit. They basically told Ford, like, yes, we'll do whatever you want. But Ron Drager told him, he said, listen, this is one of our teams that does weird stuff every year at the test. The year before we went as Dale Earnhardt throwback, which I've always been against, but we've always been the 3 and we finally had a Chevy. So we like rattle canned it black, made it look like the good, we've done it. We've had the duck on the roof.
Yeah.
The first year we went as the chicken pit car from Stroke Race, the naked car.
Yeah.
So we just enjoy doing weird stuff. So Ron basically told them maybe lean into it with us. Yeah. So that's our
first car right there. That was the car that was full of Bondo and it fell off a trailer and I built the motor for that car but it got us in, JJ Pack drove it that year and he did a good job, got it in the show, 42nd or 41st, something like that.
We were 35th on speed and they took 30 on speed. All of us work really hard in the ARCA series on a go home year to get provisional points. So we jockeyed around and we were the 11th provisional. That is 2018 at Daytona. That's Willie and I after finishing second. I'm sure people thought we were insane because we were cheering like we had just won the race, but for a little baby team out of Fredericksburg, Virginia, second felt like a win for us. So
they knew our name.
Yeah. That is the year that we.
And what's crazy is, Kevin Reed beat us.
Yeah.
So
Kevin was with the 15 that year when they won. So we're hoping to add to his record book this year. I'm not gonna lie, I talked to Greg Van Alst the other day. That's 2018.
Yep.
I did tell Greg it was our turn this year. So Greg said if he can't win, if you win, that would be second best for him. So
that would be awesome.
So we've had some highs and lows at Daytona, but
that is Willie's first year. That'd be 2016.
Yeah.
Because we were the 34 that year. Yeah. That's when we started for provisional points. We partnered up. We ran Daryl Basham's number. We had a really nice long run with the Bashams. They're phenomenal people. Daryl and his wife are just awesome. And I love this picture because Willie's first few races in the road course, we ran Bobby Gerhardt's number. So that's a full circle moment. It's always kind of the joke. So back in the day, Bobby would always get up at the ARCA test at Daytona and give a speech basically telling every young driver that they're an idiot and they better have their head on straight. Bobby hasn't raced with us for a couple of years because of some health issues. And this year at the test, they called on Willie to give the veteran speech. Yeah. So we got to work on our speeches of telling the young drivers to use their heads. Because the test was a shit show this year. So
yeah,
one of the worst. I think that's the worst one we've ever been to for wrecks and stuff. So,
and then that's this year at the test. So you have Kevin Reed, you have Richie, Davey Callie, and myself. Right there, just having a good time. Finally, some guys at a racetrack having a good time, enjoying it. We got to run under the lights this year. That was the coolest thing. Since 2018, we got to run under lights at the test, and that's a highlight. I don't care who you are. When the lights come on and it's time to go out there on the racetrack, it's just a different atmosphere altogether. So it was pretty cool to do that this year and really enjoy it. And then that picture there, that is Landon Pendleton at Bristol. That was our second driver we had in the car at Bristol. The year before, we had Mason Diaz. We had two great cars that year and the year before. This year we finished 7th with him, and we were very pleased. And I believe we're going back with him this year. And that's what we try to do, is we try to give some of these kids that have really good talent, to get in our cars, because I work on them too hard to put an average driver in them now and give up what we've worked for. So, Davey ran Elko this year with me, and then I got to run, with him there. And then Landon was able to run that same car that I drove at Bristol. So we can't wait to have him back again this year. And then that's me. This year I think we were running 7th or 8th right there. And then unfortunately, the red and white car got up in the fence and took us with it a little bit and really killed our run. We had a great car. And then that's what's hard to give up. I'm going to the Ford this year. That Chevrolet's always been a really good car, and it's hard to leave that one in the trailer when we got the Ford, but the Ford's fastest. We had Ryan Plume in the car this year to test, and he was the fastest single car there along with Davey. And, when we can unload and beat the Venturinis and beat the Gibbs cars straight up, single car runs, and I know we got a good car to go back to race with.
Here is the Pete and Pod.
Yeah, Pete and Pod. So we will definitely have those back in the car. So a little departure this year that is going to be a little bit weird. We are going with a white car. How it looked at the test is not going to be far off what it's going to look for the race. We are normally the team with orange, or even if we're not orange, the really bright cars. But
this year we're trying to go a little bit more low key. Like I said, it's been a stressful 3-4 weeks of this year already, and then we just want to go, with a nice clean look and do something a little bit different. What we're blessed with is we have fans and we have friends that make these cars into models and die cast. So this car this year will be special. We'll try to have some die cast made for this thing, and it'll always be in our history, and it'll always be something we look back at.
Yeah.
Now, how does somebody go get into being able to get one of those?
Well, once we get somebody to put them together, manufacture them.
We'll have them on the website.
Yep, we'll have them on the website. Okay. We'll put them on our Facebook. We'll have a limited run. We'll probably do 10 of them or something like that this year. And that's kind of why I wanted to do this car completely different than we've ever done, so that it commemorates what's going on in our life.
Well, I will definitely say I will be buying one of those so I can put it with all the rest of my diecast.
That's awesome.
I love that.
If a fan or potential sponsor wants to get a hold of you guys, how would they do so? Also, Hero Cards.
MullinsRacing.com. You can find
that.
No, it's .com now.
Okay.
We have both
Okay.
now. MullinsRacing.com. Mullins Racing on Facebook. Mullins_Racing on Twitter. I can't call it X. It's still Twitter when you type in the damn thing. We're Mullins Racing on Instagram. I am Dinah M. Mullins on TikTok. He is Willie.Mullins.3 on TikTok. We used to be super active on TikTok. We aren't quite as much anymore. We've been super busy, but that's a really good way to get a hold of us through Facebook. On the website, it's got our, you send a self-addressed stamped envelope to our shop. We have new hero cards. I probably should get on those. I have not even designed ones for this season yet, but
we'll have some new ones for Daytona.
Yep.
So if fans want to get that, they send us a self-addressed stamped envelope. It will take a couple weeks for us to get those turned around once we get back from Daytona. But we always appreciate the fans that do that and send us notes. I get things from Germany. I get things from the West Coast. It's pretty cool. We appreciate all our fans looking out for us and trying to be part of this team. And we, last year we did something special on Amazon. We did a wish list, that went off great. You know, we had a great time with that. So we try to do a lot of new things and innovative things. Dinah tries to come up with great ideas to keep ourselves out there and in the public, so we don't become stagnant. You know, and you know, if you notice this week also, NASCAR rebranded our regional series along with ARCA. You know, there's the new NASCAR Nation or something.
We're NASCAR regional, so we had been NASCAR Roots for the last 4 or 5 years. We're home tracks before that. Now ARCA was never part of that, so it's NASCAR regional. So it's the 3 ARCA umbrellas, the Whelen Modified Tour, and then your local level. And again, if somebody's from the East Coast, they already know this, but the best racing you're going to find is at your local track on a Saturday night. I cannot stress this to people enough. I love the ARCA series. I love NASCAR and I love what we do. But, you know, my heart and soul is really in the late model stock world in Virginia and North Carolina. And what I can tell you is if you're a NASCAR fan that maybe hasn't been to a local like asphalt track, but let's say you like Josh Berry. Now you've been introduced to Josh Berry, who raced with us for years at the local level of Cars Tour, Paint Sellers, who I work for. You know, I mean, I'm sure some people will be adamant that I am wrong, but I think Peyton's a better driver than Josh is. I mean, I'm obviously super biased. He's my friend, but that's what you're seeing at a Saturday night show at a local track in the East Coast. I truly feel like if people wanted to learn our style of late model racing, which is kind of in our little region, we're kind of our own little bubble. The Martinsville 300, which is usually like the 3rd weekend of September, and they had it on Flow this last year. 85 cars show up for 40 spots. We've got heat races. David Callahan, a good friend of ours, manages to you know, make the highlight reel. So if anybody saw the viral clip from 2 years ago with the guy was punching into the side of a late model when it still had the window net up, I think that got like, I don't know, it was like 50 million impressions across all social media platforms. That was Davey in the car. Davey, again, when he was with us at Alco this summer, he happened to be the one that Frankie Muniz went off of when he hit the wall. I love Phil Parsons. Phil said Davey wrecked him. I'm not sure what Phil was watching. Malcolm in the middle did a very good job this year, but he was going off a lot of noses.
Yeah.
So he was on the inside and headed for the outside wall. There was a car there, and that was like the 5th time, and Davey did not back out. We hate that for Rhett Jones and the whole Mark Rhett and the whole team. But it is part of racing. So that also got a lot of impressions, and that made me realize why it is super important for the commentators to say the right thing, because there were some people under some comments, because Frankie is a star, that wanted Davey to die. So I was like, I'm not sure what we're doing here, but as much as I think Frankie did a lot better than I would have expected this last season, he definitely still was learning when cars were on the outside of him. And it was a hard lesson to learn. But like Davey said, it is better to learn it at the smallest track of the year than try to go out to the wall with, you know, somebody at like Charlotte or Kentucky or Kansas. I guess we don't race Kentucky anymore. Kansas,
yeah.
But you know what I mean. So it's a little less of an impact at that type of track. But you know, so that's.
So when he straps in at Daytona or any race in general, your nerves go through the roof.
Oh yeah, she'll go back in the trailer and hide.
We'll
bring the car back at the end of the night, and good or bad, I usually get up in the trailer and she's already back there. So a lot of times, depending on where we're at in the pack and what's happening, she'll go back at lap 5, or she'll hang out there for half the race, or she'll hide behind a pit box and put her head down during the short track race when we were at New Smyrna. You know, they said she was tucked up under the back of the pit box hiding.
And while I'm sure there's some wives going, oh, I get it. She's nervous for him. He can be fine. I'm not worried about him. I own these race cars with him. I'm worried about performance, and my nerves get like, I have zero issue with diciness on the track if we're running well. If we're not running well, it is, I think for us, we're 43 years old. We don't have kids. We work 90-hour weeks. We live in a tiny little house. Every spare dollar goes into these race cars. I mean, we're absolute idiots, you know, like we have a successful business. We should be living in like a little McMansion, like, in some fancy subdivision, but we don't do that because we have race cars. So for me, the race cars are probably too personal. The thought of one of them being wrecked or not running well is just, and some of that is because we don't always have the next race on the schedule. When you got 20 races on the schedule, you have a bad race, you just dust off and you go to the next one. Well, we choose to race at 100%, so we're spending all the dollars. There's a lot of people that will tell us with our budget what we could do instead, but it doesn't make sense to us. We want to go, we want to bring more crew than we need. This year we're going to go with a tight crew because we, a lot going on, but some of the years we have 5 or 6 extra guys. But they're our friends, and it, at the end of the day, it all costs money. But we would rather spend the right amount of money and go correct than, and I'm not throwing shade at some of the teams that do the opposite than us, but at the end of the day, this is how I look at it. Being at a racetrack is a lot of work, no matter what. I'm not gonna work that hard to be out there and struggle. Like, we're gonna give ourselves every opportunity to succeed or find a different hobby. I can find other ways to spend $100,000 a year real easily. We have to perform. So yes, we've had some really bad pit crews over the years. So once pit stops start, I'm always gone. Like, will not watch, because I don't need my temper to get bad and me yank a pit crew member over the wall. So, like, some of the wives in the series are a lot docile. Like, I am.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't need. I don't need him in the pit stall to handle business. I can handle it myself and make whatever needs to happen. So.
Well, I know you guys are extremely busy, and I want to thank you guys for coming on the show. And Willie, good luck at Daytona.
Yeah, absolutely. I appreciate you having us on the show tonight. It's important that we go on podcasts, on all these little radio shows, anything that we can do to help get the word out there, who we are, what we're doing. You never know. You might find a sponsor out there. You might find a fan that just wants a hero card. Yep. Either one is just as important, and we're blessed to be able to be on your show, and we have a couple other ones going on. So we want to do it. We want to make sure that people know who the ARCA series are, who the teams are. They're just not all corporate sponsored teams. There are also us little teams. And then you got like guys even littler than us, like at Alex Club, or any of the other ones that are just trying to go out there and race on a national series. And we're all here to support each other.
And I think, to that being said, we see a lot of hate thrown ARCA's way in different groups, where we've struggled with car count. We've struggled the haves and the have-nots. We don't have a lot of middle teams anymore. So the parity, it looks worse on track. But what I want to remind people, you see all these people complaining what NASCAR's become. And ARCA is still old school racing. Teams like the Gibbs or the Venturinis have helped us, and we're people that could beat them. And then in the same turn, we try to help people like Alex Club. It is still in the garage area. I don't know how many times we borrow parts from people, or people come down to our trailer. That is still happening at the ARCA level. You still have drivers that are, him, Will Kimmel, Sean Core, driving the haulers, racing the cars, doing the things. If we could get more of a positive light put on ARCA, we could find more sponsorship. And I wish fans would realize that when you dog us in comment sections, it makes it harder for all of us in the series to do better. The more fans we can get behind us, we can turn the ship around a little bit. And I feel like ARCA is still a throwback to the old ways. And I, some of the fans may be disenchanted with some of the upper series, how they're doing things. I feel like we're a good landing place for them. But they need to be open-minded, and they need to realize that our series has a little work to do to get back to where we want to be, but we want everyone to be included in that. And the fans are a big part of it.
And we actually had Alex Club on as our second guest. So it was kind of cool that you brought him up. I mean, you guys we try to go with that grassroots racing.
Yep.
Also do the stuff for Jeremy, but also pull the grassroots racing from ARCA and small independent teams that do the struggle day in and day.
Because where Alex Club is now is where I was 8 years ago, 9 years ago. Same thing. scraping every dollar together, trying to do the right decisions, trying to just get a car on track, thinking we're doing everything right, but we're still learning. So it's great to try to help him, get his program a little bit better. And we're a medium team, and the Venturinis help us the same way we try to help Alex. It's all, everybody in this series works together, because without us, there's no winners, there's no losers. If we don't have cars on track, then there's no series. So we're here to support ARCA in the best way we can, and make sure that Ron and Joe and everybody have the cars and the people that we need to put a good TV package out there, and make sure we represent them well.
And I think one of probably the greatest compliments we ever had, because probably 2 years ago at the test, Mike Helton was there, and Mike went to talk to Bill Venturini, and he said, "Bill, how do we fix this series?" And Bill grabbed onto Helton and pointed down to our hauler, and he said, "You find a way for people like that to be able to afford to go racing, and it will fix itself." Bill said, and this holds true in the late model world too, because I work for a big team. The big teams and the baby little itty bitty teams are going to be there regardless. Your Venturinis, your Gibbs, or your Wayne Petersons, no matter what we do, are going to be there. Where we're missing are the 10 race a year teams, the little bit less budgeted teams, the ones like us where we need to have more income to be able to race how we want to race. So for someone like Bill Venturini to point to someone like us, and I do realize that we're the example, but it's nice to be known as one of the teams where if more money got in their pocket, that they would help fix the series. So I think it's important for all of us to be a part of it.
I appreciate you guys being on tonight.
Yep.
Like I said, good luck at Daytona. I'll definitely be pulling for you guys.
Thank you for that.
Thanks a lot.
Yeah, no problem. And then, like I said, when you guys get the diecast out, I'll make sure to share them. And
Perfect.
I know you guys have T-shirts and all that on the website also.
We do. Yep.
So if you guys want, go hop on their website. Go buy that merch.
MullinsRacing.com.
Sell it out. Well, you guys have a good night. And
all right.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
All right, everybody. So that was Dinah and Willie Mullins. And like I said, Rob wasn't able to make it tonight due to internet issues. So next week we are off, which is the day before Valentine's Day. Our next show will be Tuesday, the 20th. And we will be speaking with Jeff O'Day and Steve Carnes from First Pacific Funding, who are sponsors of Jeremy's. And I'd like to thank our sponsors, First Pacific Funding, Beech Ridge, Barbershop, Runner's Roost, Spartan Waste, Whitetail Smokeless, Fly Inform Concrete Structures, Matt Man Designs. Obviously, this podcast wouldn't be where it's at without Jeremy Clements Racing. Next week is Valentine's Day. Like I said, we are off. And I want to thank you guys for joining the show tonight. And we will see you in 2 weeks. Y'all have a good night.